The Gravity Gardeners. Chapter 5. The Nexus. The silence in the cockpit of the Spore Sprinter was absolute, broken only by the faint, steady hum of the ship's life support and the frantic rhythm of Aris's own heart. He watched until the healed gardener, the one he now thought of as the Sentinel, disappeared into the crimson haze, a moving mountain of purpose against a dying sky. Hull integrity at 68%, port maneuvering thrusters offline, primary fuel lines severed, repairs estimated 48 hours. Understood, Aris said, his voice rough with exhaustion and awe. He unstrapped himself, his body feeling both heavy and weightless, the adrenaline crash leaving him trembling. He had been saved by a god. The concept was too vast to fully process. Prioritize comms and sensors. I need to talk to the Whisper, and I need to see what's happening. Communications restored, linking with Horizon's Whisper. Whisper, are you seeing this? Aris transmitted, sending the flight data and the final visual of the Sentinel catching them. Affirmative, Aris. The event has been logged. Biological and cultural paradigms require significant revision. The gardener's action suggests a level of cognitive recognition and reciprocity beyond initial models. It suggests they know we're helping, Aris said, a profound sense of humility washing over him. We're not just an environmental stimulus anymore. We are allies. For the next 2 days, as the Spore Sprinter's automated systems slowly stitched the craft back together, Aris monitored the planetary data from the Whisper. The change was palpable. The campaign of the Spore Sprinter had been a tactical success, but the Sentinel's recovery was a strategic victory. Its renewed, focused work, combined with the widespread application of the gray mat, was having a cascading effect. Healthy gardeners, no longer facing a hopeless, chaotic front, began to coordinate. Their deep, resonant thrums synchronized, creating a stabilizing harmonic that pushed back against the blight's dissonant whine. They actively herded the gray mat, using their gravity touch to guide it over the largest blight patches, smothering them under a blanket of accelerated growth. The planet's song was still wounded, but the hemorrhaging had stopped. The patient was stabilizing. But it wasn't cured. Whisper, run a deep-level energy scan. Focus on the source of the blight's disruptive resonance. It can't be random. Scanning, filtering out background mycelial activity and gardener harmonics, detecting a persistent, powerful anomaly, bearing 247 by 89 deep within the silent chasm region. A new holographic map flickered to life. It showed a topographical rendering of Mycelios, with the spreading gray of healing and the retreating purple of the blight. But from a specific, terrifyingly deep fissure in the planet's surface, the silent chasm, a single, thick, pulsing crimson line emanated, lancing outwards like a poisoned artery to feed the remaining blight patches. It's a source, Aris whispered, his blood running cold. A heart or a cancer. We've been treating the symptoms, but the tumor is still there. Confirmed. The anomaly, designate the nexus, is broadcasting the primary disruptive signal. It is amplifying and directing the blight's spread. Its energy signature is orders of magnitude stronger than any peripheral patch. The silent chasm was a place of legend even on this alien world. Scans showed it was a wound in the planet's crust, a place where the mycelial network was thin and frayed, its gravity wildly unstable. It was a place the gardeners avoided, a place of silence in a world of song. They can't go there, Aris realized. Their stability, their connection to the network, it's their strength, but it's also a vulnerability. The nexus is in a dead zone. They have no power there. He looked from the map to the damaged console of the spore sprinter, then back to the image of the healing world, the gardeners moving like slow, benevolent leviathans. They had saved him. They had shown him a level of trust he had no right to expect. And now he saw the one enemy they could not face. The choice was terrifyingly clear. To save the garden, someone had to venture into the silence and cut out the heart of the rot. The gardeners were the physicians of this world, but they were not surgeons. For this, a sharper, more precise tool was needed. The repairs on the spore sprinter took on a new, frantic urgency. Aris worked alongside the automated systems, his mind racing with plans and contingencies. We need to go back to the Whisper. We need to refit. This isn't a seeding mission anymore. This is a surgical strike. When the spore sprinter was finally space-worthy enough to make the short hop, the Horizon's Whisper felt like a cathedral after the cramped shuttle. Aris didn't rest. He went straight to the lab and the fabrication bay. The Nexus is protected by its own disruptive field and the chasm's natural gravity chaos. The spore sprinter won't survive it. We need something smaller, tougher, and more agile. Proposal: retask the Scarab-class exploration rover. Its compact size and reinforced hull are optimal. It is designed for extreme terrain. The Scarab was a six-wheeled, articulated vehicle, little more than a pressurized cabin on rugged treads, used for planetary core sampling. It was slow, but it was a tank. Perfect, strip it down, reinforce the hull with the spore sprinter's spare plating. I want every non-essential system jettisoned. We are adding two things: a high-yield, penetrating spore and enzyme delivery system, and a powerful, focused resonance broadcaster. The plan was simple in concept, insane in execution. Drive the Scarab into the silent chasm, get as close to the Nexus as possible, and deliver a massive, concentrated dose of the cure directly to the source. The focused broadcaster would, in theory, create a temporary bubble of stability around him, countering the Nexus's disruptive field long enough for the gray mat to take hold. It was a suicide mission. The odds of surviving the descent, let alone the environment around the Nexus, were negligible. But as Aris looked at the planetary scans, watching the slow, hard-won recovery, he knew there was no other choice. The gardeners had given him a gift, a chance to see their world heal. He would not let that gift be in vain. He spent his final hours on the Whisper preparing. He loaded the Scarab with the most potent, concentrated enzyme solution and a canister of spores harvested from the mat that had grown on the Sentinel's back, the most aggressive strain they had. He calibrated the broadcaster, tuning it to the precise dampening frequency. His final act was to record a log entry. Log entry, Dr. Aris Thorne, supplemental. The glitter blight is not a mindless plague. It has a center, a nexus, located in a region of the planet the gardeners cannot reach. I am embarking on a mission to deliver the cure to this source. The Scarab is modified and loaded. The gardeners have shown us that balance is worth any price. I am going to help them pay it. He did not say goodbye. He simply closed the log, walked to the hangar bay, and sealed himself inside the heavily modified rover. The descent into the silent chasm was a journey into madness. The scarab was lowered on a tether from the whisper, descending into a darkness so profound it seemed to swallow the light. The harmonious thrum of the mycelial network faded, replaced by an oppressive, absolute silence, broken only by the shrieking whine of the nexus that grew louder with every meter. Then the gravity began to fail. The scarab lurched, swinging wildly on its tether as local G fluctuated between 0 and 5. Aris fought the controls, firing lateral thrusters to avoid being dashed against the chasm walls. Fungal growth here was stunted, sickly, covered in the pulsing purple of the blight. Approaching the tether's maximum extension, Nexus energy signature is overwhelming sensors. Release the tether. Confirmed. Autonomous descent initiated. The scarab fell into the void, its treads finding purchase on a steep, glassy slope of fused fungal matter. Aris drove downward into the heart of the screaming silence. The air outside shimmered with distorted energy. The rover's hull groaned under pressures it was never meant to withstand. And then he saw it. The Nexus. It was not a patch, but a structure. A colossal, pulsating heart of iridescent purple, easily the size of a city block, rooted deep in the chasm floor. It was a complex, crystalline formation of the blight, throbbing with violent energy. Veins of malevolent light pulsed across its surface, and the shrieking whine was a physical force that made the rover's viewport vibrate. This was no mere infection. This was the command and control center of the entire invasion. Activate the resonance broadcaster, full power. A bubble of soothing, gray-hued energy erupted from the rover, pushing back against the Nexus's scream. The violent gravity fluctuations in the immediate vicinity stabilized. The blight's advance on the rover's hull halted. It was working. Targeting the central mass, Aris muttered, his hands steady on the controls. He aimed the delivery system, a massive, spear-like injector mounted on the scarab's front. Firing enzyme precursor now. A torrent of the opalescent liquid shot forward, coating the Nexus. It sizzled and flared, the purple light intensifying to a painful glare. Launching spore canister. A single, heavy canister, containing the entire remaining stock of the Sentinel's spores, flew through the air and embedded itself deep in the Nexus's crystalline flesh. For a terrifying second, nothing happened. The Nexus pulsed, absorbing the assault. Then a spiderweb of gray shot out from the impact point. The gray mat, supercharged by the direct injection into the blight's very heart, erupted with an explosive force that was more geological than biological. The dull, resilient gray spread across the pulsating purple, snuffing it out like a blanket over a fire. The shrieking whine turned into a faltering gurgle, then a death rattle. The crimson line on Aris's scanner, the one connecting the Nexus to the rest of the planet, flickered and died. Silence, true, profound silence. And then a new sound began, a deep, resonant and powerful thrum that did not come from the gardeners, but from the planet itself. It was the sound of the mycelial network, free of its parasite, singing a song of pure, unadulterated relief. The song rushed back into the silent chasm, filling the void with a vibration of life so potent it made the very air shimmer. Aris slumped in his seat, utterly spent. He had done it. He didn't see the fissure open up beneath the scarab, weakened by the death throes of the Nexus. The ground gave way, and the rover tumbled into a newly opened crevasse, landing with a final crash on its side, its systems flickering into darkness. The last thing Aris heard before unconsciousness took him was the planet's song, a lullaby of balance restored, ringing in his ears.